Welcome to the Fab Female Nutrition Podcast, episode 160. Hey there, I'm your host, Wendy Hill, and I'm a nutritional therapist and expert in female hormone health. I specialise in helping women gain confidence and understanding their bodies, allowing them to shine. This podcast allows me to share the knowledge I've built up, along with bringing you guest experts to support you in your journey. There are lots of different things that give me inspiration for this podcast, and you listeners are amazing. And sometimes when you comment on my posts, whether it be on my social media posts or on the actual podcast post, it gives me some inspiration. So thank you so much. And I do really appreciate it when you give me feedback. So please do keep doing that, because it helps me. If there's a topic that you want to hear about, let me know. It really, really helps me. And this week, the podcast really was inspired by a meeting that I went to recently. I went to a business meeting, like a day conference, and I met lots of women, and perimenopause came up. And it was interesting that a few of them kind of said, well, I'm not really in perimenopause yet. So, once I feel the symptoms, I might come and seek you out, kind of thing, like very nicely kind of brushing off, saying, I don't really need you yet. And my answer to them was, actually, it doesn't really matter where you are on your perimenopause journey. You can do things to reduce your symptoms, or to take a positive action to help reduce the symptoms that you might have. Understanding your body is key to this, ladies, and gents as well. If you are listening to it, understand it, helping your wives and, supporting them. I'm really lucky that my husband is really supportive, and he's not one of these ones. So thank you, Tony, if you're listening. Thank you. He does listen to the podcast sometimes, so I should say thank you to you. But he's not, he doesn't kind of push me to do things that won't be good for my health. So if I say I'm not drinking tonight, for example, and he wants a drink, he will just open a drink. I've said to him, please don't ask me. We've got this agreement now. So he doesn't encourage me. Yes, it's more fun if you go out and you get drunk together. Of course it is. But if I say I'm not feeling great, he won't push me. If I say I want a glass of water, a sparkling water when we're out, whatever it might be, he won't say, I've been drinking non-alcoholic lager quite a lot recently, and he won't say, oh, go on, just have one. He never says that. He respects the fact that it's not good for me, and I'm a grown up and I'll make my choices, and he won't push me. Let me just say that perimenopause is not just about night sweats, okay? In the early signs of perimenopause, it can be much more subtle. So like I said, for me, it was anxiety and poor sleep, which I just thought was down to my stressful jobs. Most women that I talk to, if they are in the early stages of perimenopause, they will often have mood swings, and they will have anxiety and fatigue. And they are often coming to seek my advice for those symptoms, saying, I want to do something now before I get into perimenopause. And I'm like, oh, I hate to drop it to you, but you're probably in perimenopause already. Once I took time to prioritize my health, then I noticed a significant reduction in my symptoms. Things like changing your exercise regime as well can be really powerful. So again, if you are trying to fight your body and you're saying, I need to lose weight, I need to lose weight, then actually, if you calm down a little bit, you feed your body with really good nourishing food, but also you change your exercise regime. So often things like yoga can be really powerful for those of us that are in perimenopause. It helps to balance the hormones. It gives us a little bit of time to get into our body and feel our body. And then maybe balance that with some other kind of strength training or HIIT training. So personally, what really works for me is I do weight training, and then I do things like yoga and balance and things. So whatever you're at, if you work out at home, or if you go to a gym, or if you've got a PT, they can help you with that. But I find those two things help me. Certainly weight training is great for ladies because it helps our bone health, and osteoporosis is something that we need to be really aware of in older life. And unfortunately, generally when we find out about it, it's a little bit too late. So doing things like weight bearing exercise can be really supportive of our bone health. My first tip is to prioritize sleep. And in podcast episode 134, the whole episode is around tips to improve tips on foods to improve mood and sleep. This is not a good thing when you're recording a podcast when you can't get your words out, is it? So my apologies. I think I've stumbled a lot this week. I'm not really sure why. So yes, if this is a stumbly episode and it's the first episode you've listened to, I don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect, but I feel like I'm stumbling a lot this week. So please go and listen to another one if it's your first one, because I'm not quite this bad normally. But yeah, prioritize sleep is my tip number one. And listen to podcast episode 134, which is foods to improve mood and sleep. And they're very strongly related. And that's why I recommend you go back and listen to that podcast episode. But prioritize sleep, things like having a bedtime routine, going to bed early enough. Do not think, I've had a really busy day. I haven't had time to sit down. I want time to relax before I go to sleep. Because if you do and you get to bed late, then you will get up late the next morning. You'll be tired and you'll have a rough day. So, just taking that time, even if you don't have a lot of time for yourself, is getting into better routine, because you will find that you will have more time for yourself. You will find that, things are easier. You're less stressed. You're less angry at the kids. You're less angry at yourself. Your life is easier. You're not rushing around so much because you've been able to get up on time, you've been able to get things done that you need to, and then the day is calmer. So prioritizing sleep is really, really important. My second tip is reducing sugar and alcohol. Yes, I bang on about it all the time, but seriously, it has a huge impact on your health and well-being at any time, but particularly a midlife and for women going through the perimenopause. Insulin is a hormone, and perimenopause is all about hormonal imbalances, and we can count insulin in with that as well. And often women in midlife find it really difficult to balance their blood sugars really well, and their insulin regulation tends to go off the charts. They're at much higher risk of getting things like type 2 diabetes. Alcohol is also full of sugar as well. So alcohol disrupts your sleep. So back to tip number one, alcohol can disrupt your sleep, but actually sugar as well. So, reducing that artificial sugar. I'm not saying don't eat apples at all, but I am saying reducing those artificial sugars, the added sugars, and also trying to think about balancing those blood sugars as well. So for example, an apple, if you're going to have an apple, don't eat it on its own. Make sure you're balancing it with some good fats and some protein as well. So maybe have an apple with some nuts if you're going to have it as a snack, or make it part of a meal, make it a dessert as part of your meal. I cook a lot with fruit. I do lots of salads and things with fruits in them. If you're a member of my membership, then you'll know that. And I love to kind of use fruit in all sorts of different ways. And then herbs as well can support our female hormones. So particularly shatavari is one that I really love, works for women on lots of different levels. It's an adaptogenic, so it works on what you need, which is amazing, isn't it? How can a herb know that? Herbs are cleverer than me, cleverer than you, cleverer than all of us. And they work where we need them. And kind of balance those hormones. So things like those are really great. Sage is really good to help with hot flushes. So there's loads of those. Do come into my membership if you want more advice on that, because I do share that all of the time. And then things like aromatherapy. So if you're having trouble sleep, lavender, lots and lots of studies to say that lavender helps improve your sleep, and it's the longevity of sleep, the quality of sleep that it really helps with, as well as getting you off to sleep. And then kind of the citrusy ones help you wake up, help keep you motivated. I'll often sort of do a tangerine or an orange or a lemon or peppermint, really helps as well. So all of these different things can really help promote wellness, and there's lots of places you can go for it. You go for advice and support. So do seek those out. But hopefully those 5 are kind of nice and simple and actionable. So for me this week, what I really want to know is, do message me, DM me on the socials, or message me on your podcast listening platform, and tell me after you've listened to this episode, do you feel now that you can take a more positive action towards supporting your body wherever you are on your journey through life? And if you're in midlife, you are likely to be in perimenopause. And I want to know, what one thing What one positive action are you going to take from all those that I have suggested for you this week? So do share with me. And if you have someone in your life who you feel this would help, then remember to share it with them. That is it from me for this week. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your support every single week. And next week, I've got a fabulous interview with the wonderful Ruth Hodgkiss, and she's going to be talking all about reflexology. So I will see you guys next week. Thank you for watching this excerpt of this week's Fab Female Nutrition podcast. If you'd like to listen to the full episode, then the link is in the notes below.